The people you call Black Americans are not from Africa.
What do you consider yourself today? Are you American? Are you African? Are you African American? What are you?
I'm an African raised in America.
We are African, and we happen to be in America. We're not American.
Africans see African Americans as Africans. You're gonna have people that say, oh, Africans don't see African Americans as Africans, they see us as foreigners.
I'm African. My grandfather from Africa. They stole us and brought us in.
Hello good people, welcome back again to this channel African Commentary, whereby we discuss matters affecting all races of humankind, whether black, whether white, whether mixed, whether brown. You're all welcome here because here it's truth and knowledge. Yeah, we're just here to learn and grow. So without speaking much, in today's video I'm going to talk about this tension between Africans and Black Americans. So let me call them African Americans. Is the tension just online or even at the ground or in the ground? Because when you go through TikTok, you can't find something positive from a Black American about an African, and also an African about Black Americans. It is always about it's like they're beefing, and this is kind of saddening because you guys, we are all black, we all have the same skin color. So this tension, what is the cause? What is the major cause of this tension? So in this video today, I want us to know what is causing the problem. Is it something we can solve and live together as brothers and sisters, or it is something that is above our control? So without talking much, let's first watch some videos and then I'm going to give my 2 cents at the end. Don't forget to leave your comments down below. Thank you.
The people you call Black Americans are not from Africa.
Okay.
We're from America.
I mean, if that's how you want it.
First of all, I'm about to bust that dry bubble that y'all got thinking that everything and everybody comes from Africa. How can humanity come from Africa when all of Africa's food comes from the rest of the world? Your biggest cash crops, cocoa and cassava, both come from America.
I actually love that you brought that up because I can finally talk about Africa before slavery. Because yes, we did exist before slavery, and Africa, especially West African countries, had peaceful trade with South America at that time. That's why you can find cassava and stuff like that in cultural food in West African countries, because West African countries discovered America way before Europe did, way before. And there's actually a really, really interesting interview from Dr. Even van Santima, which is from the 80s, I think. It's on YouTube, where he talks about how advantaged Africans were and their travels to South America, their trade and stuff like that, and how much Europe did to try cover that up because they were embarrassed about how advantaged Africans were. So thank you for bringing it up. That's actually, I appreciate that.
Check yourself.
Checked.
So y'all trying to claim that we come from y'all, when in actuality, some of the people in Africa come from us. Y'all never heard about Liberia?
Okay, now I'm generally a little bit confused because even when we go off of your point of saying Black Americans are not Africans, Liberia would still exist as a country, maybe with a different name, without Black Americans, because it was never an empty piece of land. There were people living there before, and it actually caused a lot of difficult dynamics and even wars when they sent back Black Americans. So yeah, just saying that they would exist without Black Americans still.
Yeah. And y'all love to say that we ain't got no culture and we don't know who we are.
I totally agree on that, because even I grew up learning that Americans have no culture. That was never just about Black Americans, that was about Americans. And it took me a time to actually overthink what I've been hearing my whole life, because it's simply not true. You have your own culture. Do I say, or would I say you are the blueprint? Absolutely not. I would never agree to that. But will I say you have a big impact? Absolutely. Absolutely, and I'm freaking proud of y'all for doing that. So yes, we should work on that, and we should definitely give Black Americans their roses because they be working hard. Shit, yeah.
So who are you to even open your mouth and try to tell us who we are?
Honestly, especially in this time, no one can tell you who you are. If you want to be a tree, be a tree. If you want to be a cat, be a cat. And if you don't want to be African, don't be African. And this might sound sarcastic, but I don't mean it in that way. Like, seriously, if you don't want to be African, that's it. And I think Africans, or we in general, got to stop telling them who to be. If they want to not be African, that's fine. I'm totally fine with us being friends. I don't need to be your blood, and I don't need us to have the same roots for us to get along. Can we just stop fighting?
What do you consider yourself today? Are you American? Are you African? Are you African American? What are you?
I'm an African raised in America. You know, clearly.
So you're not American,
I wish I was, but my mind is not African. I mean, American. It's clearly African.
but you have the accent. You have, you know, the.
I went to school in America. All my whole earlier childhood, I was raised in Africa. Then I came to America. Every summer, we would go back to Africa for a vacation. And then when I graduated high school, it was a choice whether we wanted to go to Africa or stay in the U.S. And just the opportunities in the U.S. was so much greater than Africa.
Well, you're certainly the perfect example of the American dream coming true. And, you know, what would be your advice to a young African who's immigrating to the United States today?
Ultimately, you can't change who you are. And I think the biggest obstacle is that when people come to the U.S., they kind of alienate their original and they conform to what's there. And when you do that, first of all, you will never get accepted.
But isn't that the best way to integrate?
Absolutely not, because first of all, you can't, it's no way you can move forward and you're not you.
We are African, and we happen to be in America. We're not American. We are people who formerly were Africans who were kidnapped and brought to America. Our forefathers weren't the Pilgrims. We didn't land on Plymouth Rock. The rock was landed on us. We were brought here against our will. We were not brought here to be made citizens. Now that we've become awakened to some degree and we begin to ask for those things which they say are supposedly for Americans, they look upon us with hostility and unfriendliness. So our unwanted presence, the fact that we are unwanted, is becoming magnified.
I guess I could say tomorrow, if I'm done with this shit, I could go home. You can't go home. You stay here.
African Americans are telling me in my comments, because I'm not from here, I don't have the right to speak about them. I've heard too many times that African Americans believe that we Africans look down upon them when we come to this country, and we think we're better than them. It's false. When we were young in Africa, we worshipped African Americans. Yes. We changed our names to African Americans. My friends in school were called Jim Brown, Black Moses. I was called Superfly.
Okay.
Yes.
Go King.
Blacks in Africa, the barbershop, we go to barbershop until blacks started wearing afro, and we stopped and we started wearing afro.
Really?
We blacks hated our own fabric, the dashiki, until African Americans made it popular in the 70s, and we all started wearing it back. As a case, I had his albums. We've watched all the movies. Kool-Aid High, TNT Jackson, A Hell Up in Harlem, Detroit 9000, Truck Turner, you name it. And then we go home and we trying to practice how they speak and all that. That was when we were in Africa. Ask any African who went through the 60s and 70s. They'll tell you, oh, we love them. Maya Angelou moved to Ghana, and she was like a sister. 14 years she lived in Ghana. Her son had an accident and broke his leg and arm in Ghana. African Americans are telling me in my comments, because I'm not from here, I don't have the right to speak about them. Do you know W.E.B. Du Bois? Do you know where he died? Died in Ghana, was buried in Ghana, and Nkrumah built a center for Pan-African studies. He came to Africa, the first black PhD holder from Harvard, W.E.B. He came to Ghana, Africa, to tell us that our best way is to be Pan-Africanist. We listened to him. We didn't tell him, who are you to come from the United States and tell us what to do? There's a guy called Kwame Ture. He was formerly called Stokely Carmichael. He's the one who came up with Black Power, Black Power. Do you know where he is right now? In Guinea, in Africa, with pistols on his hip. When you go into my comments, African Americans are saying, I don't know anything about them. Hear me. Know you, the African Americans, more than you know yourself. Why? Because I am coming from the place where they brought you from. So when I got here and I looked at you, I see too much of us in you, and that's why we stay away from you.
Africans see African Americans as Africans. You're going to have people that say, oh, Africans don't see African Americans as Africans, they see us as foreigners. I've been to the African continent. I've lived on the African continent. I studied at the University of Johannesburg for an exchange program. One of the questions I was constantly asked was, where are you from? I'd say the United States. They would ask me, where are you really from? They're implying an African country. Because as a Black American, when you are on the African continent, Africans don't know you're from the States until you start speaking. They assume you're just another African. So I would have to say a region in Africa because I'm not sure, because of the slave trade. But because we as African Americans, as well as Afro-Caribbeans and those in the diaspora, are Black, We blend in. This is why I don't like this whole African versus African Americans versus Afro-Caribbean. Y'all acting like if we dropped y'all in Nigeria, if we dropped y'all in Haiti, if we dropped y'all in the Bahamas, that they finna know you from the States. Yeah, when you start talking, that they're gonna know, okay, he has an accent, where is he from? But until that point, it's actually just another African person walking around in the society. Just like you got this debate between African American culture, Afro-Caribbean culture, and African. Like we don't exchange from one another. Like you a black American ain't African, but you eating yams and okra all the time. You an African who said we ain't got no connection with African Americans, but you listening to hip hop and Afrobeat. You say you ain't Afro-Caribbean, but some of your ancestors come from the Barbados and Haiti, Jamaica, and the Bahamas. Well, Jabari, we weren't born there. We aren't from there. They're gonna know we're different. Yeah, just like a black person from Mississippi is different from a black person in Ohio. A black person from the Bronx is different from a black person who's from LA. A black person from Enugu is different from a black person in Kano. A black person from Johannesburg is different from a black person from Cape Town. Quit the unnecessary divisions. Africans see African Americans as well as other members of the diaspora as Africans. That don't mean it's kumbaya. It means we are part of the African family, whether or not you live on the continent or abroad. I will go even further and say African American, along with Afro-Caribbean and Afro-Latino culture, all are part of African culture. They are subsets unique to their own circumstances. And y'all can rep your culture. Because that's what makes African culture special.
African Americans and Africans each have things that the other one wants. So let's talk about it. Okay? So I think I'm African American, first of all. I have to say that because people are coming with me. I don't know. Maybe I'm not manifesting my phenotype, but I am African American. So let me just position myself in that. Do I know a lot about Africa? Have I done work over there? Do I know people from all over the continent and specifics about certain cultures? Yes, but I'm African American. Boom. That's that. So let me just talk to my people first. African American. So I think a lot of us, when we think about Africans, and some of us, not me, we get nervous about them taking our space, and then we start talking about them taking over businesses and taking over spots in school, and and so we start feeling this thing where we're like, well, we're going to be edged out, and we were here first, and we're doing this. Okay, but let's look at what is underneath this. So a lot of times, I think a lot of us get caught on the business thing. Okay, how are they coming over here doing this? And what we got to remember is no one is giving them anything. I know what people like to say. But when immigrants come over here, they don't have some basic things that we have. Okay, they cannot get educational scholarships. They can't get student loans. They can't get things like housing. They have to have all their papers in order. And a lot of times they're coming from away from their own families. So they have to be very independent. So I just want to put out there, we have to stop thinking that society is helping them and that they're getting all of these things and they're taking things from us, because as American citizens, we have rights to certain things that they just don't have. Okay, so with that in mind, then let's really look at it. I mean, like when you're talking businesses, well, how do they do it? What I want to say is, first of all, when you're an immigrant, any type of immigrant, you come over here there with an agenda. If we went and moved to any other place, we'd have an agenda. Okay, we'd have to work very hard at it because we don't have the things that we have back home. Okay, so when immigrants come over, I do feel that a lot of times they're more pointed. For some of us, it's there. The education's there. Some, we'll go back to school if we want to, and we know we can get things, but they don't. Okay, so they do a lot of times have that fire, and that's not just African immigrants, that's any immigrant that's coming over here, okay? But the other thing they have, in a lot of communities that African Americans don't have, is we don't commonly practice pooling our capital, okay? We don't even do that. And actually, let's take a step back. Around the world, and I've said it before, we're primarily consumers, okay? So we live in a capitalist society, so there are the makers of the products, the producers, and the consumers. So primarily, we're the ones that consume what everybody else is selling. And even a lot of times if we have ideas, we have to take it to them to produce it. So when it comes to capital, we're buying. We're never selling. And I don't think a lot of us realize that. But when Africans come over here, they simply understand capitalism. Now, it's not like we can't understand capitalism. I can get into the reasons why we are consumers, big consumers, and what that's all about. But honestly, we can't be mad. They're coming over there here, and they know that this is a capitalist society, and they know that they have to produce a product, get a business if they want to get ahead. And I feel like for so many years, a lot of us, we spent time integrating. Integrating's not bad, but to some extent, integrating means you have the company, I want to get in on that. And that's not bad. We had work to do in that area, but that did not make us good producers. So yes, when Africans come over here, not only do they have a very keen sense of what the society is, and they want to position themselves a lot of times as producers, And also, on the other hand, even in the Caribbean, they have ways of pooling their capital. And that's a system that we might have had it. I think maybe some time ago we've had it. But that's why I feel we're not really getting a lot of the same things. All right? Now, on the African side, I do feel from hearing from people, they come over and they can't understand because there's a lot of things that we take for granted that we have. Number one being education. If you go to a lot of countries, it doesn't even matter if it's a country in Africa, they don't have all these schools in one state. They don't have all these cheaper ways. A lot of times they don't even have universal primary education, which means that in order to go to grade school, you would have to pay for that. So a lot of times, yes, they're coming over and they're kind of looking at us like, you have all this and you're not taking advantage of it. Okay. And there's a lot of factors to that, but I got to admit, it's like to some extent, we do have all this. And when you have things, you kind of get laid back, and that is not how they're coming over. Now, I do feel that the longer they stay, especially when they get impacted by the things that I've talked about in terms of a phenotype, and sometimes they come over here thinking they're different too, and they say, wait a minute, over here I'm Black, I'm not just this. They don't really make a difference. Even if I think I'm better than somebody, the wider white society doesn't see that. And I have seen some struggle with not understanding why we're not just taking advantage and taking advantage. There's reasons for that. But at the same time, the longer they stay, they say, whoa, okay, I get it. This is hard. This is hard. It's harder than what I thought. Okay. So I do feel, what can we teach each other? I feel like African Americans can, instead of saying they're taking all this away, number one, we could look and start to learn how do we pool our capital like Caribbeans and Africans do. The idea that we put in a pot and then somebody gets a house and we spin off instead of acting just as separate entities. I think we could take that from them. And also in terms of education, we've gotten a little lax. I'm back in school again. I'm always getting educated, but come on, it would be natural for us to, because we have so much. And when you have a lot of things, you take it kind of for granted. Okay. And in terms of the Africans, I think on the whole, I think they are coming around, but I think on the whole, maybe there's work to be done. Well, put it like this. When you get here, you may think you're different, but I think the longer they stay, they start to understand. Okay. So those are the things that I think, both of us are looking at each other and we're trying to figure it out. Now, one more thing I will say when it comes to Africans, I do feel like sometimes they don't know this society like we know it. So there's always room, for them to talk to us, because despite what you might think, we've been in this society for 500 years. So bottom line, I feel like we can both learn from each other, but there are some very real things that we need to look at on both sides and realize that, there's a little bit of jealousy, maybe a little bit of envy.
African. My grandfather from Africa. They stole us and brought us here.
You mean this way they talk?
We was robbed and brought here. My name, my history, my everything was taken from me.
Oh my God!
Which year? I don't even know what. I can't speak the language. Look at me.
So you telling me you African? Okay, what country you from then?
Now that part, during the slave trade, we don't know.
Do me a favor, please. Get out of here.
But
so you telling me you African?
Bruh. My great-grandfather, well, yeah, damn right, they were.
Your great-grandfather is African?
They African. They can't be beat. They stole us from Africa and brought us here.
So you like American? You like American?
I like my home people, but I'm stuck here.
God have mercy upon us.
You know what? You're not from Africa.
Yeah, no. I am from Africa.
Africans do not like Black Americans. So this is a fact.
No, it's an opinion, and a very asinine one at that. Because Africa is a continent with 54 countries and over 1.2 billion people. A statement such as Africans don't like African Americans is a very ludicrous statement, because one, is perpetuating this narrative that there is beef and animosity between Africans and African Americans. And two, what that is doing is it's generalizing an entire continent based off of the actions of a couple of African hairdressers who live in America. And this is coming from someone who has traveled to 4 out of 54 of the African countries. Okay, so I went to Tanzania and I was treated like royalty. People were bowing at my feet. I felt like I was some type of long lost queen who had finally returned to the land. Let's talk about Ghana. Ghana was one of the most beautiful countries that I ever visited. I had a family who opened up their home to me. They were feeding me 3 times a day. We were living by the beach. They were doing so much to just make me feel welcomed and loved. So this is for all of my African American people. Go to Africa. Go to the different countries that are there. learn some of the languages, learn some of the cultures there, because this is the thing. There are more similarities than differences between Africans and African Americans. And we need to kill this narrative. We need to break the plane and start the conversation so that we can get to know each other and enjoy the beautiful continent that we call the motherland, Africa, Azania. Okay? Peace and blessings, y'all.
Bro, I'm reaching out to the African community. Why don't y'all like us? Because when I be at work and I be trying to talk to the African people, it always seems like they be like looking at me funny or side-eyeing me. And at first I was thinking maybe they just don't understand me that well. Maybe they're not well acquainted with the way we speak or something. I don't know. But somebody brought it to my attention that they just don't like African American people. And I didn't believe it at first. But then I started noticing certain little things. One of my coworkers was like, if you notice, they always cool with the white people. They love white people. I'm like, no, I don't think it's that. Like, there's no way they like white people more than they like us. That don't even make sense. I'll never forget. I was walking down this long pathway at my job. It's like a long pathway. And I see somebody just running this way like super, super fast. And it was an African. And I'm sitting there watching this, and she's a beautiful African lady, like super beautiful. Like, but she running this way. I'm looking like, what's she running from? It's a white dude behind her chasing her, and they both just laughing and giggling. I'm like, ain't that the same girl I was just trying to talk to yesterday, and she act like she couldn't understand nothing I was saying? How she?
It's not that Africans don't like black people. It's the other way around, sadly. Black people don't like Africans. And what do I mean by that, you ask? Because when making fun of Africans was a thing not too long ago, y'all had everything in the world to say about us. Y'all called us all types of names. We were called African booty scratchers. We were told that we climb trees. We sleep with lions and tigers. We walk barefooted. We don't have no shoes. We live in huts. We eat goat. Although, we do eat goat. So all these stereotypes, so on, all these very different varieties of stereotypes that made us so uncomfortable that we started to hate ourselves. And it's so crazy because we were never spoken to like that by the white man. They never made us feel less than ourselves. I could never just understand the hatred because we're literally the same color. You're no better than me and we bleed the same. And then they say, I'm not African, I'm Black American. You be your own kind. Then you call them African American and they hate it. They don't want to be associated with Africans. So they say, I'm American or I'm Cherokee. They made it seem like being African was a crime. It was just recently that the Americans started showing love to Africans. And that's just because the celebrities started showing love first. So you know what that means. Everybody hopped on the bandwagon. It started from wearing dashikis to listen to African music to now eating African food. We're finally accepted in y'all eyes. So Africans never hated Black Americans. It was always Black Americans that hated Africans.
Just because we live in a different country doesn't make us any different than y'all. I mean, sure, our culture is different, but genetically, we're literally the same.
So you're telling me in 2025, Black Americans are fighting against Africans? Like, really? Let's be for real. It's like I'm fighting against my roommates. We got the same skin color. No matter what you think, there's always something natural that will come and happen. Like, for example, when I go to a place where there's no black people and I see one black person, just one, I tell myself I'm safe. Because I know that dude over there, if there's a problem, he got me. And if there's a problem, I got him back too. Regardless of his origin, where he comes from, I don't care. As long as we have the same look. Because believe it or not, we always look the same, guys. Like, I'm just wondering why people are telling themselves right now. They don't even have to try. We're just killing ourselves. In 2025, for real? This is the dumbest fight ever. Ever. I don't know what Martin Luther King is saying right now, looking at us fighting against each other for things that don't even make sense. August 1st, August whatever. You go, you support the black business, regardless of where the people comes from. I don't care. You just go, you support it. Because we got to a point where we have to fight against each other. And what is this? What's happening to my people? What make it make sense? Man, you guys are not done with fighting. We fight all the times. We fight today. Please, it's 2025. Pick the right fight, please. This is not the right fight at all. I won't support neither. Let's just live together. Come on, man. What is wrong with you?
So, first of all, before I speak much, I want to tell you guys, Black Americans, African Americans, it's high time you do forgive Africans because they always say, Black Americans always say that it's African who sold them to the white people, it's Africans who betrayed them. And yes, we accept, but it's high time you guys forgive us. Can we just, okay, it's part of history, but it's high time we just let it go. It happened some years back, and now it's 2025. Find it in your heart to forgive Africans. You know, for me personally, I think the tension between Black Americans and Africans is that it is not really that we don't love each other, but it is the fact that we have been brought up in different environments. You see, for Africans, they expect that Black Americans or African Americans should behave the same way we do. And Black Americans have been fed up with some, can I say, lies or stereotypes about Africans. So growing up, they have this kind of stereotypes about Africans. Hence, they don't want to be associated with Africans. Even some Black Americans don't want to be called African Americans because they don't want anything to do with Africa or Africans. But you know what, guys? This is something, the transatlantic slave trade is what brought all this, and it is not because of us Black people. We are both Black people. Whether you're African, whether you're Black American, you are a Black person, you see. And you know the enemy is the white person who came to Africa, who made you guys suffer. They made your ancestors to suffer. They transferred them or transported them through the Atlantic Ocean all the way to the US, you see, with all the suffering, the canes, it was bad, guys, it was bad. But you see what? It is high time. I think also your ancestors will be happy to hear that we are getting along very well, because at the end of the day, we are both Black people. We share the same skin color, we share the same blood, and we even share some of our cultures. It is just that for African Americans or Black Americans, you have had to, I can say, come up with your own culture because you are in a place where you are in a white people's place, you don't relate to their culture. So for Black Americans, you had to come up with your own culture to make your living comfortable, to make yourselves survive in a place where it is hard for you guys to survive. And some of your culture actually is adopted from African culture, because all in all, you guys are African. And it saddens me to hear that some Black Americans don't want to associate themselves with Black Africans. You see, it's like we are fighting against each other, which we should be fighting with each other against the enemy. And you know who the enemy is the white person. And you see, the white person makes sure that we are always fighting for him to win, because the system will not win if we are in unity, if we are in togetherness. You see, we'll come up and fight against the system. But you see, now the system is winning, and we Black people are still suffering just because we can't get along, guys. So for Africans, you need to understand Black Americans. Yes, they are Black, but they have grown in a system whereby things are done differently. So we shouldn't expect that when we see Black Americans in Africa, they should behave like Africans. They should catch up with our culture, because it is too much for them to catch up with. They need time, the same way they have spent time in the US to catch up with the culture or create their own culture. So if they come to Africa, if they visit Africa, we just can't expect that because they are Black, they need to behave the same way we behave. And so for Black Americans, you need to stop feeling embarrassed of Africans. You need to stop seeing Africans as your competition. You see, most Black Americans, when they see Africans in the United States, maybe in good work positions, they feel like they are threatened, because you see, this is an immigrant, someone who just came after me and is doing well than me. No. Competition or jealousy is what is killing us, guys. We need to be in collaboration. We need to be in unity. If you see your fellow Black person, cheer the person up. Make the person comfortable. if he or she is a black American in Africa, try and make her stay or his stay comfortable. If you're an African, the same way for black Americans, if you see your fellow black person who is coming from maybe Africa and is trying to catch up with the system, the workplace, and if you can help, guys, why don't you help? The point of all this beef? What is the point of all this tension? What is the point of all this fight? It's time, guys, we just give it up and say, you know what, we are going to work together here, because you know what, for you suffered slavery, yes, but Africans back also were colonized. It's not like Africans were living well, their life just continued well. No, we were colonized, guys. We had to be under the British. If I talk about our country, we had to do what they want. So it was not like we had our own freedom. Our ancestors needed to fight for our freedom that we have right now. The same way you guys underwent slavery is the same way we undergone colonization, but it doesn't make sense to say that this kind of people suffered less and this kind of people suffered more. No. All in all, we all black people suffered in the hands of white people. And we are still suffering. It's not that now everything is okay. I can say it's a bit than back then, but we can just sit back and say, you know what? For Africans, we won, we got our freedom. We have nothing to do with African Americans. We still need each other, guys. We still have a long way to go. We still have to make the system work also in our favor. The system right now is working in the favor of white people. But if we continue with this fight, at what point will we sit down, think about it, work in collaboration, work in unity, and do things that empower us, that build us black people? We need to make a change, and we cannot make a change when we are in a fight, when there is tension. There is need for peace, there is need for unity for us to make the change. Yes, and for black Americans, I do understand that you lost a lot. You lost your identity, you lost your names, you lost your language. Some of you can't even answer the questions. Where are you from? And you get irritated when someone asks you that question. It's not out of ignorance, but it is because you don't know where to start. But the good thing is, right now, people are doing DNA. Most black Americans have done it, and they have found their lineage back in Africa. So, this is up to you as a black American. If you feel like you really belong to Africa, you're an African, you can do your research well, you can try and find your lineage. But for those who don't want to associate themselves with Africans or Africa, I feel like it's high time we just leave all those things. They don't help in any way, because who doesn't love to have a sense of belonging? Imagine you have a place you call home. You have a place where people welcome you so well. There is this lady who has said that when she visited Tanzania, she was treated like a queen, like people bowed onto her. It's the same like you people when you visit Africa. We feel so happy, we feel so excited to see our lost people. We are excited to see. It's just like the story of the prodigal son. When he came back home, the father was so happy. He celebrated him. It's the same way when we see you guys back home. We feel, oh my, they're back. We had lost these people, but they're back, you see? So don't let the stereotypes about Africans, and about Africa fill your head. It's high time you just do your own research. Go to the ground. If it's motherland Africa, come. Which country? We have like 54 countries. Which country do you want to visit? Come. You will find people who will welcome you so well, because we really understand that you guys have gone through a lot and you're still going through a lot. So never feel embarrassed to be called an African. Never feel embarrassed to come back home. Never feel embarrassed to say that you're from Africa. Yes, you're from Africa. It's a continent, a very beautiful continent. It's a very beautiful continent with very beautiful people, very welcoming, very warm. You see? And here you're just going to enjoy life. If you feel a conviction in your heart, like it's high time you go back and look for your people, our hands are open. You're welcome, guys. So I'll stop at this point and let me know what you think about this. But let's cut off the tension. Let's cut it off. The beef, let it end. It doesn't help anywhere, guys. We need to be moving forward, not to be moving backwards. With that said, bye, guys.